Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to another episode of Love Misunderstood. I am your host, Nicole Pacheco, alongside our co-host, Nigel Kettle, who is a life coach and a self-help author. Also with us today is our extended guest, Lanasha Prescott, with a millennial point of view, and Janae Days, with a Gen Z point of view. Today's episode, Love Languages, Understanding and Expressing Love. As we all know, there's a variety of different love languages, and usually there's a top 5. And we'll definitely let Nigel go into detail of that. But for me, mine is acts of service. My act of service in a relationship, cooking. I love to cook. And you'll know how much I love you through the cooking. I literally think of the person or people that I'm cooking for, and I pour in my magic ingredient. Love. The love that I have for the person, the admiration that I have for the person, the feelings that I have for that person. And I'm just thinking as I chop away how they're going to enjoy it and how much I hope they really appreciate it. What about you, Lanasha? What is your love language?
So I had taken the love language test, I think about a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And the top 2 that I had gotten was acts of service and quality time. Um, I feel like with quality time, you just want to be present with the person, being in the moment, not having any type of like distractions. Is about, being with each other together intentionally, right? And then I think with acts of service, because like I don't need words to, you know, let me know that somebody cares about me. Like I don't need someone telling me, oh, like you look so good today, or like I'm proud of you. I mean, those things sound nice, yes, but
Right.
show me that you care about me, right? So doing something that is helpful, or like picking up maybe some medication that I might need, and giving me something that I didn't even have to ask for because you knew that I needed it at that moment, right? All those little things, it's like, oh, you're paying attention to me, you're listening to me. You don't even have to say much, but you show it to me. Actions speak louder than words. Um, so yeah.
I agree with that, very much so. Thank you, Lanasha. Janae, what are your love languages?
Honestly, when I was going down the list, I feel like I'm like each and every one. Like I resonate with each and every one. But I would say my top 2 is probably quality time because I think it's because I was the last child to be born in my family. So I want undivided attention. I love attention on me. I was a theater kid growing up. I literally wanted the spotlight, and to have that with like someone, my soulmate or my partner, I feel like that's what I would want in my future too. Like I need that attention on me. I need to know that you're caring, you're paying attention, that you'll do everything I ask for, well, most of everything I ask for. But I don't want to sound like too, I don't know, like princessy. But like another one is like receiving gifts. I think I'm a bit materialistic. I won't even lie to you. I'm gonna be very like clear. I want to know that you're thinking about me if you're going on a trip to like Abu Dhabi, like going to a trip to Puerto Rico. I want a little souvenir that I actually use, or like a gift that I actually use, and that goes hand in hand with like quality time because you'll know me if you spend time with me, and then you'll know what gift I want since you're spending so much time with me. So yeah.
This episode's interesting because, I learned something really important about you, Janae, just now. I hear the materialism, and I'm sorry, love, but I could so hear it straight clear. All right, Mr. Life Coach, what can you tell us about love languages?
It's interesting actually because if you do a search for love languages, the first thing that comes up is the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. And I think that's become kind of like the standard of love languages, even though the book was only written in 1992. But, all the points that are in that book are pretty solid. And I recommend that if you haven't read it, it's a worthwhile read. Note that he's a Christian, so he's a pastor. Okay. So you're gonna be getting things from a a religious perspective, so to speak. But it's a pretty good read, and I strongly recommend it to anybody that's interested in love and how to, like, have a fulfilling relationship. I would like to start out by stating the obvious, which is communication. And only because, we've discussed this on previous episodes. The communication is one of those things that is mostly misunderstood. And it's because when you say communication, people think about just talking and telling others about themselves. But it's about listening, and it's about putting yourself in your partner's shoe and trying to understand things from their perspective. That is the key language here. I mean, it actually goes with the term love language, because it's communication, which
Language. Okay.
which has to be like the first step. But anyway, before I go on, Nicole, aside from what you said before, the food, cooking, what's your other, how do you express love?
Words of affirmation. I definitely let them know what I think of them and how they are doing within the relationship. And I'm not going to say, you're not doing these things. No, we're going to talk about it all. I'm going to start with something that's positive and letting them know, what I think about them and how I feel about them and everything else. We can always have a conversation of, the do's and don'ts that are going on here. But I think words of affirmation on letting them know how I appreciate them, letting them know that, yesterday morning or the other day, I woke up to a cup of tea, and that was the nicest thing that I could wake up to. Thank you so much, babe, mwah, for giving me that. That would be literally what I would do. Give them a kiss and show them, and also touch. Touch is a huge, huge, huge thing with me. I don't like people touching me unless I like you as a human being. Never mind my significant other. If we don't know each other, that hug and everything else, you will not see me hug you. Now, if I know you, you already know I'm hugging the 3 taps in the back. Like, I love you. That's what those 3 taps mean, by the way.
So that's what I've been doing. Because I tap every time I
tap,
hug somebody.
For me, that's what I'm saying. I love you. To giving them something of some sense of attention, some sense of acknowledgement of who they are and that I know them.
So I'll touch upon another thing that is very important, and that is to express feelings. And when I say express feelings, I'm talking about verbally. And because a lot of times we think that our partners know that we love them. And we probably do things that we think should tell the story, should express. But oftentimes, and this is what I hear a lot from couples, is that they want to hear it. Don't just, cook for me. Don't just do nice things to me, but tell me that you love me. Tell me that you care about me. Tell me, about all the good things that you like, all the things that we share, and, just having real heartfelt conversations where you're expressing in words, your feelings.
I totally agree with this. Totally agree with this. Ladies, what about nowadays? Because his way, my way of thinking, our generations are totally different from you guys. Do you agree?
I was going to say that, remember how I was expressing to you earlier that I took the love language test years ago? Now I feel like if I'm to take it again, I feel like it would change. And it would still be acts of service / quality time. I believe so. But also words of affirmation are so important because it not only coincides with your, the words coincides with your actions, right? It's cool that you're doing these things for me, but it's also nice to just be appreciated, to hear that you appreciate me. I'm proud of you. Oh my God, babe, you look great. Or I love you. Or just little compliments, right? It's you feel loved, you feel appreciated, you feel complimented, right? And it touches you in a different way than just the actions do. And I was going to ask earlier, does love language mean that's how you want to accept being loved? Or is that showing, or are you showing love to somebody else? What exactly does
Right.
the love language mean for you? Is that you receiving or you giving?
Yeah, it's more like expressing yourself to your partner, and hopefully your partner is doing the same thing to you. So it's basically a way of communicating what you're feeling to your partner. So it's, it's both ways, but I mean, of course you can talk for yourself, but you can't, talk for your partner.
Right.
Because in general, the way we express love is completely based on our personality. So we can't expect that, no matter what your definition of love is, and however you think that this is the way I would love my partner to express love to me, that may not, be the way that he or she expresses love. And in some ways, and this is why, again, communication is important, where this is something that you have to discuss. But be aware too that this may just not be their personality. So as much as you want it, if you if you want your partner to cook for you also, and that's just not their thing, then it's not going to happen.
That's fine, but at least they need to contribute into the relationship. You know what I mean? If you're not into the cooking, then why don't you clean up behind me to make sure we got that teamwork?
Or at least, or share. Like, one of the things that, like, for example, Nicole, I'm going to go back to your cooking thing again, only because a lot of women like to do cooking,
It's
right? And they like to watch their partners actually enjoy what they cook. But, sometimes, invite your partner into the kitchen also. They may not be able to cook, as well as you, but have them like help you prepare, have them assign tasks to them. Like say, okay, you're going to cut up this seasoning for me. You're going to cut up the onions or whatever. Just assign things to them, and, don't be the one always like going to the kitchen. This is my domain. Make it, a family domain where you do things together. And a lot of times, women don't do that enough,
You got a point there. I'm thinking about my past marriage, and I'm thinking if I can do anything different with something as minor as that, I would like to see him in the kitchen with me, doing it together, more teamwork. We can be able to open up a line of communication there. Hey, how was your day today? Or what is it that you're thinking to do this week as we're having a Sunday dinner and chopping it up? I do everything is fresh. So it's always good.
And I know women that actually every time their husband come in the kitchen, they chase them out.
I used to do that because I was like, my domain, my space. I need to turn and move. You know what I mean? My whole family could tell you, yeah, I kicked them all out. Like, get out.
What about you, Janae?
I don't know. I grew up with my mom and dad actually cooking in the kitchen together.
Nice.
And it was sort of nice. Yeah, like
Very
he was
nice.
a pescatarian, so he probably cooked the vegetables and she did the meat for the kids. And I wanted to ask a quick question. How do you feel about like your partners having different love languages? Do you think it'll still be stable? I feel like there's going to be a miscommunication along the way. I remember I was speaking about that in class. I want to hear your opinions about that.
Yeah. So again, it's going to be based mostly on your personality in terms of the way you express love. However, there are certain things that are very meaningful to your partner that she's going to have to share with you. And if you love this person, you're going to have to make an effort to express yourself in that way to that person. And this is why it's so keen, like, this may sound like, so far out, but so often when you talk to couples, they have like the man and the woman, they're so far apart in terms of he doesn't understand what she likes, she doesn't understand what he likes. And you would think that that's a typical thing that every couple would have in common, that they know what their partners want. This is not so.
No.
And the reason for this is that people just don't spend time communicating. And when you do communicate, one person is just like, it goes in one ear and it comes out the other. This is why it's important for you to like really listen to your partner and, try your best to meet them halfway. If you can't go the whole, just try your best to like listen to what they say and try to incorporate that into your daily routine, even if it doesn't align with your belief system or.
So this lines up to what you were saying from the beginning. and you've been saying throughout all of our episodes pretty much, communication is key. Having that open line of communication. What do you think about, before I ask you the question, I totally agree with what you're saying, because we don't know each other until we know ourselves, so we can be able to tell others and show others who we are. Now, with that being said, what do you think are the best ways of opening such lines of communication? Because we have a thing like our smartphones that are making us dumb, televisions that are on, social medias that are going on. Oh, I got this thing that I have to do for work. Oh, I have this paper to write for class. What do you think? Like, if there was an ideal, per se, if there's an ideal on a day-to-day basis, on a week basis, how much time do you think they should spend with communication?
So, so I keep emphasizing this in communication. Every time I say communication, the first thing that comes to mind is listen. Because people don't listen. That is it. You could be telling me something and I hear it, but it doesn't register because it's against my notions, like my preconceived notion of what a relationship should be. And I know like so many partners that they could talk until their face sort of like turned blue. They just don't hear. And because it just doesn't fit their definition of what a husband should do or what a wife should do. So the main thing is if you're able to listen, like, deeply and try to put yourself, the only true way to actually listen to somebody is to try to put yourself in their shoe. And if you can't do that, then you can't understand where the person is coming from. So if you're having a conversation with somebody and they're telling you things and you can't like picture it or try to like see it from their perspective, it means that you're not listening.
Maybe they're not into that person either.
No, because I'm talking about like partners here.
Okay.
And even like you can have a full conversation with somebody and, these are, partners discussing things, problems in a relationship. And 5 minutes later you go and you ask the husband, so what was your wife talking about? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And this may sound like it's something that's like, this may sound far-fetched, but it's not. Like, people don't listen anymore because I believe that this is the way it should be. And no matter what you say, it goes in here and it goes right out. Because I have these preconceived notions of what love is, or how I should be expressing, So we just we hear it, but it doesn't connect. And that is what communication is about. It's about listening and connecting in your head, forming that association, trying to see things from that person's perspective.
I'm also thinking about maybe we're also too busy, that our brain is just going on all these other different things that we have to do, that we're not taking that quick moment to just listen and be present at the time. Ladies, what do you think about situations, as Nigel's explaining here, about communication, that it's the first thing of communication should be is hearing, listening to the person and what they're saying, their body language when we're having such communication. What do you guys think?
I agree. It's key, right? Your body language, making sure that you're listening to them. It shows that like you're interested. That shows that you care. That shows that you want to be here, right? With this person. I'm gonna get to understand them better. Now, I wanted to touch a little bit on you had asked earlier, like, what does a day-to-day like conversation or communication look like? And I don't think that you necessarily have to bring your partner and be like, let's talk about this. Like just in basic communication, or just like basic conversations that you guys are having, whether it's while you guys are cuddling, whether it's over dinner, even if you're on the phone for like 5-10 minutes, right? And you're talking about like your work day. Maybe just asking him a question or two. What is it that you need right now, babe? Like, what is it that, how are you feeling right now? What is it that, like, what do you want for dinner? Something simple, right? And then showing that person after, like, hey, I listened to you. You said that you needed a massage. You said that you needed something to eat. I got you, right? And so that I think that's where, that's where like listening and communicating comes into play, and why is it that it's key for a relationship to be successful. Um, so as you were saying, well, as you had asked earlier, like, oh, like what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Like we're all busy, da da da. Yes, I get that we're all busy, but there always can be some time that you can make because first of all, you care about your partner. And then second, because like it's important, right, to you to find that conversation with them. It doesn't have to be for long and doesn't have to be
Right.
serious either.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to be super serious, but as long as like you're listening in some form of fashion and they're listening to you as well and you guys are communicating, I think that'll
Hmm.
work.
She has good points there, actually. Janae, what do you think? What can you add to that?
Yeah, I just want to add like Nigel is correct, like when it comes to like speaking in person with someone, because I can't tell you how many friendships I've lost because like I decided to address things over text. So like it created a lot of miscommunication, especially since like it's very difficult to read the tone of like the text messages over the
Hmm.
phone. And it was like recently that a friend of mine we had a little spat, and he was like, we need to meet in person and actually sit down and talk because this like back and forth paragraphs to paragraphs is
Hmm.
not working out for me. And I need to actually speak with you to sort of like connect and see how you're actually feeling. Because right now I'm just assuming that how you're feeling over text.
Hmm.
And we
Hmm.
did that. We had a sit down conversation. And I would say like we interpreted each other well. I saw his body languages, saw that he was a bit nervous. He saw that I was a bit nervous too. And at the end, like I kid you not, it was just a 30-minute conversation that's like actually like resolve our whole issue, and our friendship is still going on to this day.
You heard what she said? Paragraphs. Those paragraphs could be so deadly depending on the recipient's side, because they could be having the worst day. You don't know what's going on because they're not telling you what's going on. And they can read that and interpret it and misconstrue the actual message. So I like what you were saying, Nigel. Face to face, I'm old school. So face to face, I don't do the telephone thing. It's face to face, so we're having a conversation right then and there. Can we talk? I'll actually text somebody, hey, can we talk? You got a minute to talk. And it's not in reference to anything bad because I want to hear their voice. I want to feel their energy. I want to see what they're dealing with. Because sometimes you can hear somebody and the way that they're talking, you could tell they're having a bad day or a good day. You can actually tell when someone is smiling. Me, when I answer my phone, I always smile. I could have the worst day under the sun and I always smile. Why? Because your whole body feels that energy and it resonates out. So what do you think, Nigel, besides having face-to-face conversations, what
Yeah.
else can they do?
Yeah, I want to touch on something that Lanasha mentioned, and that's the physical aspect. And that is the small things you can do in terms of touching. And I'll share something. Like, I love when my partner do my nails. Now, of course, I can go to the salon and get it done. It's not the same,
No, it's
you
not.
know. And I like to do the same thing because it's like an intimate moment. It's a bonding moment.
Yes.
And it's those small things, or getting like a little foot rub, which my wife likes. You know, she asks me now. Now I want to say something here that's actually pretty crucial. Now, I'm not a masseuse, okay? I don't know the right way to do a massage or to massage somebody's, feet. But, I do the best I can. Mm-hmm. Now, I once had a girlfriend that would like rough me up. She'd be like, oh, you're not doing it right, right? Well, I'm not a masseuse, okay?
You should go to a pro. Thank you.
And what happened there is I stopped doing it. I didn't want to do it anymore, and she would come to me and say, well, can you? And I'm like, no. And the reason is because I don't want to deal with that.
Yes.
It's like, so just be careful. Like, know that your partner is not going to give you the greatest massage, but it's not about that. It's about spending, having this intimate moment with your partner where you express yourself, by, whether it's like finger rubs or massaging their feet or doing their nails or stuff like that. Well, Janae, because Jamaicans like to do that.
Yes, yes, yes. It's a love language. Physical touch.
You know, that's include like, picking pimples on your face or whatever, all those things. Jamaicans love to do that kind of stuff for whatever reason. I don't know. But the thing is that it's this intimacy. It's like combing somebody's hair, right? It's a very simple, small gesture, but it means a lot to the person because it feels warm and comforting. So those are some of the things. I'll touch on one thing before I move on to, I want to touch on forgiveness a little bit because, this is one of those things where people like to say, and I hear this all the time, I'll forgive, but I won't forget. That is the biggest bull crap that people say, right? When you forgive, what you're trying to do is you're trying to forget this. So when you forgive, a part of forgiving is taking this and pushing it to the side and keep pushing it away until you don't remember it anymore. It's like my wife and I had a disagreement about a month ago. And so a couple of days ago, we were trying to remember what the hell it was about. Neither of us could remember because we had pushed it so far away. We couldn't remember what it was that we had and it was a substantial disagreement, right? But we just couldn't remember. And that's the whole attitude is you try to push it so far aside that you don't remember it anymore. We tend to hold on to things and we hold it over, our partner's head and we bring it up and we throw it back in your face. That's not how it works. Forgive and forget, period.
What about people that forget the circumstance, but remember how it made them feel, and that is what continues for them to be upset and angry or disappointed with their partner?
Yeah, but you see, Nicole, a part of that is just like you're holding on to the emotion.
Yeah.
Right? The whole objective here is to push it all away. Don't carry it like a badge, just push it away.
So ladies, what do you guys think about what I had just mentioned? That yes, we can forgive and forget, but sometimes people don't remember the circumstance, but they remember how it hurt them, the way it made them feel. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with Nigel saying we should forget things. And I do agree with you with not forgetting how it makes you feel, because there's a chance that that partner is gonna hurt you again. Because I think we shouldn't forget. We shouldn't forget because if the actions is very consistent, then it's time to leave that situation. So I agree with the saying forgive but don't forget, because these actions might be repeated and you will get hurt again, and you will experience that same emotion that you felt in that situation. So if it's like a one-time occurrence, you said this about me, you said I wasn't good enough in a relationship, and you forgot that, and that was the first and only time that happened, I feel you can push that aside and forget it in the distance. But if it's he cheated on me multiple times, then you simply cannot forget that. So it depends on a certain situation.
Right. And let me clarify that, Janae, because in most cases, right, no matter how much you try to forget something, if it hurt you real deeply, you can't forget it, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that, most people, instead of putting the energy into pushing that away, they put the energy into keeping it at the forefront of their minds. And so what you're doing is just keeping this negative thing, always ready, always, willing to throw it back in the person's face. And that is where what you should do instead is try to put more energy into pushing that away. So it's not at the forefront of your mind, because it's one of those things that we do, and we're only so glad to see, you haven't changed. See, you're doing this again. And it's just not, the way to foster, a good, fulfilling, interaction with your partner.
I think we have an understanding on who we are as people and who the other person is. And if I'm understanding you correctly, to forgive is to forget completely, right?
Yeah. So there are certain things that you can't force yourself to forget something.
Right.
Right? But what you can do is put the emphasis on pushing this emotion away. You've been in relationships, right, with partners that when they bring something up, even though it happened like years ago, right, they experience everything again as if it just happened.
Yes.
Right? And the reason for that is because they've never really reconciled with that. Okay? So every time it comes up, it's like it's fresh in their minds. What I'm saying is that don't put emphasis on remembering things. Put emphasis on forgetting things. You know?
Wow, that's a hard thing to do. You do realize that.
Yeah, but you see, it's where we place the emphasis. We always try to like put it aside and just keep it in this bag here to instantly grab it, right? But instead of doing that, and it's hard to do because we're used to doing this all these years, Janae. It's like you're used to thinking this way. You're used to like, it's just a human thing. But just put emphasis and like, if I don't remember what argument we had, I can't throw it back in your face, But what a lot of people tend to do is they want to do that. They want to throw it back in your face. So they keep remembering it, and they keep it fresh right here. And then they throw it back with all the anger and emotion that they had in that first argument. You see, and that's what I'm saying. If you can't remember this, you and your partner will never, have this rehash argument about something that happened 2 years ago.
It could be possible because I'm thinking about all the times that I've been guilty of that stuff. I don't want to tell the truth.
And it's hard to do.
Maybe they want to hurt them back.
Our natural instinct is to hold on to this and use it again or remind this person, right? Because God forbid we forget that this person did us wrong. Well, stop thinking that way. Instead, just put emphasis on really pushing it away forever.
Well, maybe they want to hurt them back, though, because you did something to me that hurt me. And now I want you to feel the pain as well.
Exactly. And that's the problem in relationships.
Okay. Now let's go into that.
That is where we're always going back and forth, hurling, hurt, insults, like it's this tit for tat.
Yes.
Once you get rid of thinking like that, just stop thinking in terms of bringing things up to hurl at your partner and put that emphasis on forgetting. Trust me, Janae, once you start doing this, it's going to serve you much better because you can't feel bad about and remember things and re-experience it if you forget it. It's a win-win, literally.
Ladies, you guys have both been cheated on in times, let it be a friend that they lied to you or a significant other that's cheated on you, or there's always going to be somebody that's going to hurt you. Have you been able to forgive that person and move on, staying within that? Let it be friendship, let it be benefits, friends with benefits, let it be an actual romantic relationship. Have you been able to move forward, or did you want to hurt them back the way they hurt you?
I want to say real quick in terms of like what Nigel was saying earlier about like throwing something back at another person. Mm-hmm. When you do that, you're not necessarily forgiving them. When
Correct.
you think about it, right? So I think when you forgive someone, yes, you can try to forget what happened or what the situation was, but at the same time, you need to make sure that they're not repeating those same actions, right? Because if they are, then it's like, you don't care about me. If we talked about something and I'm expressing to you that this hurt my feelings and you're continuing to do the same thing over and over again, it's like, well, right. You know what I mean? Like, so I hear what you're saying about the forgetting part, mm-hmm. but I also do think that if a person continues to do the same thing over and over again, and right. you keep forgetting over and over again, that's just going to be doing you a disservice. Well,
so what's going to happen, Alasha, is if they continue to do this, trust me, you'll never forget it because you can't forget something if it's repetitive, right? But the problem is that we often put the emphasis on remembering things instead of the opposite.
Okay.
And
So
I'm telling
instead of
you,
remembering, you want us to what?
I want you to put the effort into trying to forget it, right? And like if somebody like if you were really hurt, there is no way that you can really forget that, no matter how much you try, right? And I'm not saying you need to necessarily forget. I'm just saying don't focus on remembering things because that is what we do. Put that effort into pushing it away so far that you forget it. And a lot of things that we hold on to, like somebody say something nasty to you once, right? You don't need to hold on to that for the rest of your life. 10 years on the line, you don't need to bring it up that you did tell me the F word. You don't need to remember that. It's like, so it's these small things that we hold on to. And what happened is that they accumulate. And all of a sudden you have like 100 things that your partner did that like, they're really significant stuff because, in moments of vulnerability, we all say things that we're not supposed to say. We all do things that we're not supposed to do in one inconsiderate moment. You don't want to have those things like hanging over your head for the rest of, your relationship. But this is what we do, especially women. They do hold on to those things.
We're emotional creatures.
Yeah. And at every chance they get, they bring it up and they throw it in your face. And I'm just saying, don't put that energy into that. Just put that energy into forgetting. Because yes, you can't forget this little one-off thing that the partner did to you. It's not important, If they keep doing it, trust me, you can never forget it because it's at the forefront of your mind all the time. So you don't need to try to forget that, or try to remember that because it's there.
It's always constant. It's a constant.
So it's not about because you can't forget things that are like, deeply that hurt you deeply. You just can't, right? I remember things from my childhood that I've been, trying to forget. But they're so traumatic that I can't not remember it, right? But at a certain point, if you put a lot of effort into pushing it away, then, it's diminished. It's not at the forefront of your mind anymore. And that's what I'm saying is that don't hold on to it right here, And that's what we do as in relationships. I just want to express one more thought here in terms of keeping a relationship because spontaneity, right? A lot of relationships get boring after time, right? And it's because we're not spontaneous anymore. We don't, that element of surprise, things that you would do for your partner that just disappears. So it's one of those things where if you want to keep things exciting, you have to make sure that you don't fall into this routine where everything, your partner know exactly what you're going to do. It's your birthday coming up. They can tell you're going to, it's Valentine's Day. You're going to get them some chocolates because that's what you do every year. I'm just saying, try not to fall into these routines, right? Because, they're boring,
Spontaneity is important. So we're saying, if you're saying about being spontaneous, it's not only a sexual thing to be spontaneous. You're talking about in various ways, right? Okay.
In all facets of life, like just be aware that you don't want to be boring because we often are.
Well, you don't want to be bored and you don't want to be boring. That makes a lot of sense. Ladies, in closing, let me know what you guys have learned, if anything, about the understandings and expressing of your love language.
One thing that I've kind of thought about and as we were speaking and having this conversation was, let's say, for instance, you're so good or you naturally are good at doing acts of service and having quality time. But that is your love language, right? Like that is easiest for you to do, right? But as I remember you guys kind of mentioning earlier, there's different facets of a relationship that is important for it to be wholesome or for it to work. And so you might be good at 2 or 3 of these love languages, but you have to learn how to have physical touch or how to, use words of affirmation or learning how to listen, right? And while having a conversation with your partner, because they all work together, they're all cohesive. Mm-hmm. In order for you to have a successful and ongoing and a spontaneous, great relationship with your partner. And so that's just my takeaway from today. Learning your partner, understanding yourself, learn what is it that you need to work on within your partnership.
That's it.
Nice. Those are good.
I was gonna mention, like, after hearing everyone's point of view, I would try to relate it back to modern age. I wanted to say, like, we're in such a transitional period, and it's sort of like leaning toward confusion, where social media is sort of like influencing your love languages. And sort of how your partner can actually influence your love languages. And sometimes you might be quiet when it comes to your love languages. Like, for example, if you like quality time and your partner likes receiving gifts more, you try to like sort of like conform to their love language just to appease them. And I feel that goes back to our previous episode where we need to be true to ourselves. We need to be genuine in order to have that happiness that we're all like searching for.
Right. And just recognize that, relationships are about compromise. That if you're not willing to do that, then you're not ready for a relationship. So just know that in a relationship, you're going to have to reach across the aisle and, do things that you don't want to do or that you feel uncomfortable with because it doesn't align with your personality. But at the same time, if that's what pleases your partner, then,
Go for it and have fun with it. Yeah, I agree with that.
If your partner, however, is not doing the same thing, if you're reaching across the aisle, if you're, making concessions here, but they're not willing to do it, then of course you have a problem.
Yeah, you have a problem with exactly the first thing you said, communication. Because communication is not only what you say, it's what you hear, but it's also the way their body language is going and everything else. So in closing, what I've understood in this episode is that I have more than just one love language. And besides the acts of service, besides the affirmations, receiving gifts is very nice too. So I agree with Janae. Let's get these gifts going. They're a lot nice to receive. In closing, what I would say about the love languages is that they are essential in relationships. There is a give and take. There's an ebb and flow in relationships. And I think love languages help such ebbs and flows. And communication, if we keep hearing anything in all of our episodes, communication with listening is key.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. See you soon.
For more episodes, in-depth articles, exclusive insights on love and relationships, or to provide feedback and suggestions, please visit lovemisunderstood.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletters. Love Misunderstood podcast series was created by Nigel Kettle. This episode was hosted and produced by Nigel Kettle and Nicole Pacheco, with extended guests Lenarsha Prescott and Janae Days. Production assistant Celeste Rosario. Special thanks to everyone who submitted questions and comments. We value your input and feedback. Keep them coming. Love Misunderstood is a Kettle Media Concepts production.